I feel like their intent maybe was to have more of the AMA, but I feel like a lot of it did get pushed kind of more towards the roadmap. But I feel like do the roadmap, talk heavily into that, and then maybe do like a separate AMA somewhere else to be like, okay, what are your questions about the roadmap and how can we give you guys that information? Because like
that's true. Yeah, like a 2-part, because then there wouldn't be for any of the misinformations. Now it would just be clarified when they do the second AMA part.
So here's the banker question, just to get us transitioned nicely into the rest of the stream. How did you feel about the AMA?
I'm gonna be real honest.
I thought it was pretty great. Yeah,
I loved it. I love the roadmap. Especially like, dude, I was sitting there, I was hyped. We were vibing and everything, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, every other chat is like dooming," and I was like, "Why?" I was like, "Why?" I was like, "Dude, this is great." There were so much things in phase one that, like, more in phase one that I thought there would be. Like going through the phases and looking at, I'm like, "This is awesome." I love the structure. It reminded me kind of like Alpha 1, where we had like kind of a lead up where it's like, hey, we're doing this test and this test and this test, and then we'll get to the full one. So I'm like, I was like, why is everyone freaking out right now? Because I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like I thought this was great.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Same. Same, bro. Same. I was honestly, it was a lot more information than I was expecting we were going to get. So yeah, I'm on that same train that I was like, oh, cool. Like there was actually a lot to unpack here and information that was really valuable.
As a content creator, it's been awesome because it was like, I finally have things to talk about.
Finally have stuff. Yeah.
My life ended during the AMA.
Oh no.
Like, yeah, I don't have any time for anything except for Ashes now.
I feel like that's a great problem to have.
Right. Vertec, what did you think about the AMA?
AMA specifically,
you're fresh off of watching it, so.
Yeah, I think the AMA specifically, it had some interesting information. I actually really liked how he explained the his view on crunch and the company's view on crunch.
Oh, same.
But, I believe just in general, like the AMA was kind of overshadowed by the roadmap and all that information, just the pure impact of all of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
The roadmap was definitely the star of the day and all that info connected to it. But it was nice getting a couple of those questions were kind of brand new, at least to some degree. So it was nice getting a little bit more insight.
I had I dual streamed that to YouTube, so the VODs are there, and I had one comment where it was like, host ends up talking over most of AMA, and I was like, you realize you can probably go watch this somewhere else, right? You don't have to watch my stream.
Like, I was just giving commentary, okay?
I'm doing the streamer thing.
Like, I think, actually, you know what? Oreo Frostline there has it just about right. The AMA felt like a cool down period after the roadmap.
It really did.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to say. Overall, as like a stream, I feel like the roadmap was decent information. I felt like it was a little bit rushed. I don't know. It gave me that vibe that they were like rushing to get the info out there. But then
they did have like the half-hour delay because Steven's computer broke, so he was like really
that too.
In the office. So I think it was probably a little bit like kind of we kind of gonna have to condense this and we have to get through.
Yeah, I also mean just in terms of like the typos in the in the materials that are shared, and I get that, like, you know, they're probably in crunch time as Steven mentions quite a lot, but it's just one of those. It felt, as communications go, a little rushed, a little rough,
little hodgepodge.
A little hodgepodge. But
as someone with dyslexia, I was able to read through I didn't even notice any spelling mistakes.
To be fair,
it's just like normal life.
we were in our like Discord, and we were making jokes about Maggie like giving the "I will send you to Jesus" look to Steven, for like Steven being like, "Oh, I'm not going to read the whole thing," and then like proceeds to basically read the whole thing.
And then he does. Yeah.
She's like,
I feel like maybe I feel like their intent maybe was to have more of the AMA, but I feel like a lot of it did get pushed kind of more towards the roadmap. But I feel like the roadmap probably had. Honestly, I almost feel like they could have broken that into 2 streams, which would have been do the roadmap, talk heavily into that, and then maybe do like a separate AMA somewhere else to be like, okay, what are your questions about the roadmap and how can we kind of give you guys that information? Because like
that's true. Yeah, like a 2-part. Because then there wouldn't be for any of the misinformations now. It would just be clarified when they do the second AMA part.
Yeah.
And then like too, like how much of the roadmap kind of like invalidated. I didn't really listen to too much of the I apologize to people put the questions in because I didn't really listen. But how much of this could have like really been taking up that time to be like, oh shit, yeah, this would have been really good information to know. How's this work? How's that work? Why is this in this phase? Those kind of things.
It definitely did feel like it was worthy of 2 separate streams, a roadmap stream and then an AMA stream, because I do feel like the roadmap part definitely overshadowed the questions for the AMA. And also, just a real quick thank you to who was it? Alluring. I refreshed and back on track. Valoon and Dunir are the only 2 races for phase 2. I think that was a typo, and I
sad
to catch it. I know.
Speaking of typos.
They're always listening. They're always watching. They know.
Yeah.
They're like, fix it.
Honestly, I'd probably put up most of the mistakes probably because of them being crunch. It's just like, we want to communicate. We want to get this out. We're trying to get it out as fast as we can. But because I would say too, like if they are in a state of crunch, like this is awesome for the community, but terrible for them, where it's like, we now have to pull people off to make these graphics. We need to communicate with Steven. Hey, how's this working? We got to put the team together to get this together. We need to get the information out. So like, it's probably like, yeah, okay, quick, get this out. And it's like, oh, we made a mistake.
Yeah. And that was my only critique, really, is that before we get into the rest of like the key updates and stuff, my only critique really was that I do feel like the communications and the media shown could have been probably a little bit more polished, and maybe the YouTube video that they just put out is a bit more polished. I've yet to see it. It was actually, I was telling Vertec that the YouTube video is live as we were about ready to go live ourselves. So it's very possible that the YouTube video itself is much more updated with like how they're explaining everything. But as a web developer who does front end facing things, I send out an email every Monday. I have a small group of people who look over everything before I send it, and then a larger group of people who triple check everything before we send it. And I feel like if they weren't in such a rush to get this out, that there would be a lot less like confusion pieces, to the point that Vertec and we were patiently conversing with somebody in our chat this morning because they thought that there was a gap in timestamps from October to May. And so I actually ended up going through and making a timeline, which I'm going to be updating to include the key holder access. But I ended up making a timeline just to show, like, actually, no, we're doing weekend testings continuously until this period. And then we're doing 5-day plus testings until this period. And then I think
they did clarify that during the stream, because they did explain that, October 25th until December 20th will be weekend testing. From December 20th until May 1st, that's when they start the 5-day testing. Especially, they want to get into a position where when it is like, because people are like, oh, well, that's Christmas season. It's like, yeah, we want to be in a position once the game goes live, we won't be taking, you'll have to have people on staff for dealing with holidays and stuff. So they're even preparing for that, getting that position. I think some of that really was in there. Because I remember I was slightly confused, and then I remember watching later on. I was like, oh, okay, they did clarify. Yeah.
But I think that's also where, like, us, we come in and we're here to help try to like clarify things and, understand what the community is like feeling and thinking on these things, and being like, well, actually, I get where you're coming from, but this is how it's intending to work, or like just, breaking things down, like these conversations.